not easy work. It's extremely challenging work. And it's really meant for everyone, but it seems that only those brave-hearted souls are the ones that continue to arrive with consistency to take care of themselves in this particular way. And so I acknowledge that and appreciate that very much about who you are as a soul alive on the planet right now, that you have found your way into this space to take care of yourself, to tend to yourself, to be with yourself, to breathe for yourself, to come more alive, and to maybe release what your system is ready to release so you can be freed up to move along to the next. My name is Laurel. You have found yourself in the end of a 4-week series on healing the deeper wounds. This particular theme today is the wounded healer, which I relate to wholeheartedly, and which I will just share a little bit and get a little vulnerable with you, because I feel like I could be the poster child for this theme, the wounded healer. I didn't know that about myself until I was steeped in my healing work. Carl Jung has coined this phrase, the wounded healer. And these are people who have gone through traumatic events, who then tend to take care of other people. Sometimes they do it consciously, mostly they do it unconsciously, but we're going to bring light to it. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my path, just so you can understand that it could be relatable or part of your path too. Not to judge ourselves as broken or any of that. We're simply shining light and bringing compassion and offering a spaciousness in which we can feel more ourselves and get to know more of our truth, and to discard some of the fractured bits, clear ourselves out. So come on in and listen with a soft ear. Get your body comfortable. Know that the breath work part of this is coming, but we're going to highlight this wounded healer for just a few more minutes. And I want to just let you know that me personally was very traumatized as a young girl, was definitely hit more than I was held, and abused physically, abused spiritually, abused emotionally. Always wanting and seeking for connection and comfort and belonging, and doing what I could with a young consciousness to make up for not receiving that in my family of origin. It turned me into a very caring person, hypervigilant person, a person who has felt very unsafe in most of the environments that my body finds itself in. And yet I became a registered nurse. Developing a keen sense of what your needs were, because deep in me, I long to be cared for, want to be connected to, and my maladaptive behavior was just to turn all of my energy externally and to take care of you, If you were okay, if things were okay with you, then I could be okay. It's also a big tenet in codependency, so lots of love and compassion and care to those codependents and recovering codependents that are out there learning about these things. So a lot of people turn to the healing profession because they themselves have been traumatized. That was my journey. That was my path. And in my late 20s, and the wounded healer in me kind of doubled down when my husband went off on a nighttime flying mission and crashed and died in his helicopter. I doubled down on the wounded healer archetype and graduated to the next degree. I shifted my nursing career into death and dying, and spent the bulk of my nursing career taking care of people who were dying. Not really understanding that I was, again, trying to soothe myself, calm myself, nurture myself, heal myself through doing this work because of the experience of that traumatic event. And it wasn't until probably just recently, in the last maybe 5 or 7 years, and doing more work, and Gabor Mate, bless this man, who would probably also call himself a wounded healer, has a lot of literature out there about what this means, and how trauma and traumatic events affect us on so many levels. And we are such adaptive, and resilient creatures that we find a way to keep on keeping on. So God bless you, wounded healers. You are so highly empathetic, highly attuned. You have a beautiful degree of hope, and your perspective on life is just next level. Your ability to listen deeply and to listen to the content that isn't even being spoken verbally is PhD level. So kudos to you for what you've done to work with the trauma that you've experienced, to shift it and to turn it into something meaningful for not only your life, but for the life of the people you come in contact with. The wounded healer, that's about bringing light to the darkness and bringing light to the unconscious parts of why you're doing what you're doing. And if you bring the light there, it will reveal to you that it goes deeper and darker, deeper, darker. And we just have to be steadfast in this process, because we come to understand, if we're wise souls, that we don't even know how much we don't know. So to surrender, to be humble, to keep going, to be compassionate, to be non-judgmental, and to understand this is just part of the way things are as human beings, how we survive. And we're going to work our way to thriving. We're going to work our way to thriving, and we're going to release ourselves from some of these harsher ideas and maybe some of these denser energies from some of these traumatic events that you may have experienced that keep you from feeling fully alive. I'm going to just check some of my notes here that I made on the wounded healer, make sure I haven't left anything out, and to acknowledge your resiliency in moving through whatever you've moved through. Yeah, so wounded healers they're not always found in the helping professions, although I imagine if you talk to anyone at length who's taking care of you, you will find some trauma in their past, that they can be mothers and fathers or many other vocations. These are people that are great listeners that generally people go to for counsel or for advice or just to be heard and witnessed, because they have been through something and they know the power and they know the power that being present with somebody else can really offer. Some of the characteristics I'll read of a wounded healer: that you have experienced trauma or abuse or had adverse experiences early in life, that you're unable to feel healthy internally even when healing others, that you are aware of complex thoughts and emotions, and that your old wounds get triggered when healing somebody with the same problems. You have a clear sense of meaning and purpose in life. You feel emotionally and mentally exhausted after healing someone, that you're always looking for answers, wisdom, and insight, that you tend to heal people who face similar issues like you, childhood abuse or addiction, for me, death and dying. You are seen as an advisor by your friends and family when in need. You often seek external validation and approval for your healing work, that you're naturally inclined to help others from an early age, that you are empathetic and can absorb your clients' emotions and issues. You see challenges as opportunities for growth, which is beautiful. Sometimes often giving too much of yourself while healing and helping others, even when that's not necessary or maybe even asked for. And that you have an inner strength to remain calm in chaotic situations, which can be a superpower born of the struggle of your youth and of your past. And that you find it difficult to deal with criticism from your clients or the people that you work with and heal. So the remedy, my love, you're already engaged with it, in loving kindness and acceptance for yourself, self-care, self-awareness, and a willingness to continually be curious about and maybe accept the unknown aspects of your own unconscious mind. And you must know by now that I believe your breath is the remedy for it all. I do think that, because the breath helps us come alive. It helps us clear. It helps us get now. So that's what I want to share about the wounded healer, and to be very compassionate with yourself as you have heard that, not to judge, that you may also have this label. The idea is we eventually get to discard all of these labels and transcend them. But until then, we get to work with them and understand the importance of them, what they mean to us, and then eventually we can discard them and let them go with grace and with gratitude. So, yes, I think we're going to move into the breathing part of our session today. I want to tell you a little bit about this playlist. It is